Welcome back to Trading with Artisan Will. This is for the week of March 17th, and I'm reporting to you guys in Paris, France this week. It's been really cold, but I'm managing to pull through, and it's been kind of nice because market opens at 2:30 in the afternoon here, and I've had the luxury of having the mornings to myself instead of having to wake up early for market open. It's been kind of nice. With that in mind, let's jump right into it. As for last week, we went basically 3 for 5 with Allstate NI and SO ending up breaking out, and those trades were actually pretty good and profitable. Lemonade ended up not holding and pulling through, whereas PDD didn't really fully trigger until Friday with kind of a gap down day, and we'll talk about that later because that's on the list again. As for the market as a whole, I want to talk about how on the weekly here, it has actually hit the 50 EMA and we managed to close above it. So I know that we talked about it last week on how the Qs here tapped the 50 and kind of pulled through and managed to actually propel price back up. But what we're seeing here now is we closed below it. So even though we had a pretty green day on Friday, this is still not that well, this does not bode that well for the market because we closed under that 50 EMA here on the Qs. What we really want to see for this upcoming week is a strong high volume bounce to where price closes somewhere above the 50 EMA. If what ends up happening is we close within this weekly candle and definitely under this 50 EMA, then that really kind of tells us that there is potential for even more downside there. And obviously with tech being weaker, you're going to see those big large cap tech stocks probably suffering the most from this. Whereas SPY here, C is starting to see a little bit more support and a little bit stronger. For this week, the biggest things you want to be looking out for is going to be FOMC. So first thing I want to say is you always want to try to use forexfactory.com, use their calendar. You want to look for US red folder. So these are called the red folder news. And this is what's going to really heavily impact the market. Every week I look at this website before the week actually starts, just so I know what's coming up, because these things will heavily influence intraday movements or pre-market movements here. So Monday we have core retail sales. And then let's just scroll down. Wednesday is obviously going to be FOMC here. And then Thursday, let's keep scrolling, is going to be unemployment claims in the afternoon. And that is it. So this is a pretty strong and important week because this is the last FOMC meeting until May. So we have about almost 2 months before the Fed actually makes any other solidified decision about what they want to do for rates. And so whatever they say now is probably going to influence us for the next coming weeks, at least 7 weeks and more, until we start kind of building back up for the next FOMC meeting. This is really important. We want to see what the Fed says in accordance with how, for example, Target and Walmart in their most recent earnings have kind of guided down for the next few quarters in terms of consumer confidence, but also how much money people are willing to spend. This tells us that people might not be having that much disposable income in the next coming quarters, which means growth as well as profitability for a lot of these companies that we're trading are not going to perform as well either. So we want to see if this is kind of aligning with what our consumer companies are telling us, and if the Fed is going to decide to cut more or just kind of stay flat with where they are. With that in mind, let's move to the focus of the week. It's going to be kind of short. The first one is going to be BABA here, and this is BABA on the weekly time frame. It's 3 inside weeks within this inside bar here, so lots of consolidation after earnings, and you have to look, this is the biggest thing, declining volume here. So this tells me that despite this declining volume, we're not really moving anywhere, and we're actually consolidating and pricing towards the upside here. I think if we can break past 145, this move is going to be pretty explosive, and I think we can test close to 160 here. And I got this price target from the volume gap here from a long time ago here, from around end of November of 2021. That's that kind of next volume node here. So I think that's where is the next kind of pit stop if we're able to actually break 145 and hold. And go down to the daily time frame here. I am already in BABA. We kind of front ran the breakout here, but looking to add more once we actually break this here. So this candle on Friday was pretty good. We're above the 8 EMA. Everything looks pretty healthy. And China is trying to actually inject more stimulus into the economy to try to increase wages as well as just economic growth. So BABA is definitely going to be one of those big benefactors with more economic stimulus from China. And this is a good one. The contract I'm looking at is April 17th, 150s. Already in these, but I'm looking to add once we break 145. Second name on the list is going to be PDD again. It didn't trigger us for us last week, but I think it's going to be kind of another China play. They're going to benefit as well, seeing how they are also in the retail space. That's the same as BABA. If we can break this downward trend here, it's going to be really good, and we can probably test this gap fill. We talked about it last week. I think to be extra safe, the trigger is still going to stay at that 125 area. And I'm going to be targeting the gap fill and then looking to see if we can test this upper bound from this range that was made on February 21st at around 133. The contract I'm looking at to take on this break is the April 17th 130 calls. Next on the list is Palantir. And the reason why is because I want to look at this weekly here. We managed to test this 84 area, which is where it had a lot of resistance in the past before. You can tell because we wicked here and we wicked here, and then we finally broke out on this earnings as the catalyst. And what we're doing right now is we have managed to close above this 3 times now on the weekly time frame. And I know we're under the 8 EMA, but once we break that past and hold above, I think this is going to be kind of a nice rounded shape where you can see something like this happen. And then we can actually maybe test this 117 area high again. The contracts I'm looking at are either April 17th 95 call or the 100 call. And I'm looking to take it once we can flip these EMAs. So this dark green one is the 50 EMA for me. I'm sorry, the 2021 EMA, and I want to see price hold above 87 essentially. And if we are able to do that by that time, most likely what's happening is the EMAs are going to curl even more and even cross over again to be bullish again. And lastly on the list is going to be SMCI. I'm looking at the April 17th 50 call, and we had really good price action to close the week here. We kind of had a gap down but fully back up day on Thursday, and then just an inside bar for Friday to close it. So I'm looking for a trigger above this 43, which is the upper wick of Thursday's candle, and I'm targeting at least this 45 area, which was made on Wednesday here. And just take a look at the weekly here. We're right against the 50 EMA, which is the red line. And I think once we're able to break 145 here, we could definitely probably test 50, maybe even 67, but don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. Just targeting this upper wick and then going from there to see how we can catch a pullback again to re-enter on this trade. And there's 2 runner-ups I want to talk about. Only problem that is why they're runner-ups is because the options are not that liquid. The bid and ask is really wide. I'm talking like 2. The bid is like 1.5 and then the ask is around 3.5, 4.2. So with that in mind, I want you to remember that and just trade these cautiously and try not to get screwed over with the fill if you're trying to take these trades. The first one is going to be CB, Chubb Limited. I'm looking at April 17th, the 300 call. The reason why is because we just had a downward trend break on the weekly time frame. The 8 EMA and all the EMAs have flipped pretty bullish here. We ended up having a doji candle and we broke past it to close off the week. I'm looking for a break over this recent high at 294.8. If we're able to break that high, then I definitely think we're able to test this 300, which is near all-time highs here, and then probably break past that even more if we're able to, and keep that momentum going. Lastly is going to be Root. Root just most recently had a very nice breakout from this 118 area, and then we kind of consolidated for a long time. These are all daily candles here, and we finally managed to have a really strong day close over this 141 area, and it's kind of one of the leaders in the insurance space now. We're seeing Lemonade consolidate a lot more, and just it's not ready yet. It's almost there, whereas Root here has finally begun to actually take off here. I'm looking to see if we're able to get some type of retest Either we test 145 here, which is where this was heavy rejection on Wednesday, or if we're even able to, we might even get a 141 retest. And from there, if we're able to hold it and bounce from there, which is likely where the ATMA is going to align, then we can catch this break to break past first 155 and then test this 170 area to the 1.618 at around 177. This is probably something that can be taken with the April 17th 175 or the 180 strike, but it might be even better to go out even further or just buy comments from here. That is all for this week. Good luck with everyone's trades, and I will catch you guys next week.